Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Sorry I Like This podcast. I'm your host, Ezra, and I'm joined by Caleb. Caleb, how are you doing?
I'm doing great.
Good.
It's the end of the year.
It is. It's
You
we're
know?
fast approaching Christmas for us, and then New Year's for uh, most of the rest of the world. I guess China doesn't really celebrate New Year's at the same time, um, but yeah, we're sort of at the end, and this will be our final show until next year, probably.
Yo.
So we wanted to sort of take a look back and look at the most notable releases of the year, and we didn't play all of them, but we can give our thoughts on
Yeah.
like the impressions that we had and some of the conversations that were surrounding these games. Um, First, we wanted to highlight James McCaffrey, who you might know as the voice of Max Payne in the Max Payne trilogy of games, as well as making an appearance. He played uh, Alex Casey in Alan Wake 2, and I mean he
Yeah.
also he was in the first Alan Wake as well. So
Yep.
um, yeah, I think
And in control.
yeah he was in Control. Like there was definitely he played a different character in Control, um,
Gotcha.
but yeah, it's sad to see him pass. We've had a lot of really prolific TV actors pass this year, uh, from Lance Reddick
Yeah, which is
to uh, Andre
what's his name?
Brower to now James McCaffrey to oh shoot, there's somebody else.
Who someone else recently passed away too. I'm trying to remember his name.
I think that was Andre Brower, the guy from
Okay.
Brooklyn Nine-Nine.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was him. I think that's his name. I could be terribly mistaken, but where's my thing is. But yeah, he was. Yeah, that was his name, Andre Brower. Yeah, but James McCaffrey, he was. I haven't played the Max Payne trilogy,
Neither have
and
I, but
I haven't experienced really any of Remedy's output. I would say, but it is always sad to see talent go like that. So
yeah, especially
you know,
early on too.
condolences and everything to his family, and hope everybody is able to sort of come out the other side of this um, as well as they can.
Yeah.
So with that, uh, let's get started. This year was packed with
Oh yeah,
releases.
absolutely.
Every year lots of games come out, but I think in 2022 especially, you didn't have like a lot of uh, it
No, you
wasn't
had some notable big ones, but there wasn't
yeah
like yeah.
yeah like there weren't as many like I mean aside from the ones that are on here because of like the um that I put on here because of the splash they made. uh I mean, a lot of these games are somebody's game of the year. Like,
Yeah,
um,
absolutely.
and I mean, you could say that about every game, but
All except one on that list, but we'll get to
yeah,
that.
yeah. Two actually. There are two on this list that I'm looking at. Um, so yeah, let's get started with Fire Emblem Engage. This game was definitely like when I played it, I was not anticipating to love it as much as I did. Um, And I like Fire Emblem, but Three
Hmm.
Houses especially I have really mixed feelings on. Um, because when they made the transition to that sort of persona-esque systems and the split route thing, I felt very much like I wasn't getting the Fire Emblem that I came to know and love. Um, and I'm not really opposed to change, but I felt very strongly like like this is I felt like Three Houses was great as its own project, but I
Right.
didn't want it to be the future of Fire Emblem because I felt like there was a lot of Fire Emblem DNA that just wasn't present. Lots of like little traditions that I felt were missing.
Well, I'll say this. I mean, as far as Engage for me, like I haven't played it yet, but the thing that always has intrigued me when it came to Engage was it seemed like, for lack of, you know, despite, I paid attention to Three Houses, and you know, and I
Yeah,
was finding myself like, like not so interested in it.
and I think that's
But I don't
fair.
know. With the marketing campaign with Engage, it was enough to quite literally engage me
Yeah,
into it. Like I was like, this is definitely a game that I absolutely want to play, have to play. I mean, it was during a time where like so much other stuff was out at that time, and I needed to play catch up.
yeah. Well, you were still playing
Um,
God of War, right?
at that point, yeah, I was still
Yeah.
playing God of War, and then Star Wars was on the horizon. Like
Yep.
there was just, you know, then there was Crisis Core at the same time that I was going to play.
Oh yeah,
Actually, I think at that point I was playing Crisis Core, to be perfectly honest
yeah.
with you.
I
But
think I remember that. Yeah, Crisis Core Remastered had come out. Like,
and then I went and replayed FF7, but that's
yeah.
that's a whole other thing. But it is definitely, this one feels like the one that got away of 2023.
Sure.
Almost said 2024 for me.
Yeah,
Like it was just the one that like I wanted to play but I couldn't play. So
I get you.
it's it's still on my backlog. It's going to be played, but yeah, was one that I was very intrigued on, and it had to do with the marketing. And like I saw some gameplay with Ezra when he was playing, and I was sold then. Like I was
Yeah.
like really interested, and you know
Well, I
it
remember
was just bad timing.
we went to a con that weekend,
Yep.
the weekend that it released, and I was like, man, I'm really excited for this game. I'm gonna bring it with me to
Hmm.
the hotel to play, and that was and yeah, that was fun. But I think the
Yeah,
thing,
like I got a demo. I got a demo level of like
yeah, like oh, this
from what I
is
could see. Like I
yeah,
wasn't playing it, but like I got like a demo amount of time of what I could see, and I was sold.
yeah, yeah, for sure. Um, and I think the thing that sticks out to me about Engage is that it does like there are a lot of video games that come out as like an anniversary celebration, um
Hmm.
and some of them hit. Like I think Sonic Generations is a good example of a game that does the like anniversary element of its existence well. um but a lot of games end up feeling like I think Kingdom Hearts Dream Drop Distance sort of marketed itself as like, oh, this is the Kingdom Hearts 10th anniversary game. Like we're throwing everything at you because it's the 10th anniversary. And in some ways it does that, but it also doesn't, like, it doesn't feel like a celebration, right? That game doesn't.
Mm-hmm.
I as somebody who likes Dream Drop, I think that game
No.
doesn't. It's not a celebration of the Kingdom Hearts franchise. It's something very
Aside
different.
from, I think the opening like 2 hours of that game is more of a celebration,
Sure. Yeah.
and then the last
Yeah.
2 hours. You know what I'm saying?
Even
Like,
even then, the last 2 hours feel more like setup than celebration.
and that's fair enough too. Like, I mean, but I think more of like just bringing all the characters in at the end,
Sure.
was
Yeah. I
enough.
mean, they
But then
did.
again, Coded do that too.
Coda
So
did that. I mean, Birth by Sleep also did that. Like
yeah, exactly.
it wasn't anything like special, like uh, some
By
kind
that
of
point, yeah.
special fight. Like, if there was like a really, if Dream Drop had like a really cool Maleficent fight or something like that, like because the
Mm.
period that they time travel to, Maleficent is still technically alive. They can
Yeah, but she
they
didn't
run
have anything
into
to do with anything in Dream Drop, if I'm not
in in,
mistaken.
in Dream. Well,
She was left out.
she was in Dream Drop. She was cutscene only in Dream Drop, like in 3.
I don't even
She
remember in
she
Dream
has
Drop.
she like kidnaps Minnie and tries to
Thought that was Coded.
no, that's different. No, it looks like it's out of coded, but that was not
Yeah,
coded.
gotcha.
It's the first time Lee Lee like shows up and saves the day. That's like um the subplot of
That's
Dream
right.
Drop Distance is Lee saves the day and joins Team Good Guy. Anyways, Fire Emblem Engage really nails that like celebratory feeling where, while the narrative itself was never like super gripping or interesting, like there was some stuff that I liked about it, but on the whole it was like it was pretty bog standard for Fire Emblem, I would say, maybe even a little goofier. Um, but where it succeeded was in feeling like, every element of Fire Emblem, be it good or bad, was present in Engage in like in some way there is an homage to things that have happened. Like a really good example, but this is my favorite moment in the game, is it's sort of, it's like, I guess at the end of the first third of the game, where uh yeah, in the game, they have the emblem rings,
Hmm.
and they summon heroes from previous Fire Emblem games, uh, and in this chapter, the party has lost all of the rings that they had acquired, except for any like DLC ones that you had, because they couldn't. I guess they didn't want to punish you too hard. And so you're running away, and that chapter is a runaway chapter, and um, these, I think it's some allies who were like who were previously your opponents who've had a change of heart come in and save you, and they save you with the ring, with the emblem of awakening, which, if you don't know, Fire Emblem Awakening is literally the game that saved the franchise.
Mm-hmm.
And so you summon that character to get you out of this extremely tight spot. And and I felt like, oh, this is like everything that, we're taking
Mm-hmm.
everything into account, right? Like, they didn't have to orchestrate things so that we got this sort of almost reenactment of the franchise in a meta perspective, but we did. And there's so many other little things like that, and really fun like character interactions and all those sorts of things. I haven't played the final uh, DLC like the Dark Xenologue or whatever it's called, just because
Mm-hmm.
I haven't gotten a chance. I hope to at some point, but yeah, as a Fire Emblem fan, I felt really honored playing this game. Like, oh,
Good.
we've come this far with this franchise, and I don't know what they're gonna do next. But this felt very much like a culmination of everything, and uh, I hope that Intelligent Systems is able to keep improving their process for making Fire Emblem games, because this game was, I mean, the quality bar was just on another level from what we had come to expect. So yeah, um, moving on to a game neither of us have played. I played the demo.
Yeah.
Uh,
Me too.
Forspoken. We were both initially really excited about this one.
Oh,
Um,
I for years I was a big proponent for this game. I'm like,
yeah,
watch out for this game.
yeah.
This game's going to change lives. I didn't know if I necessarily said that, but I said something along those lines. Like I
Yeah,
was very much like, oh my god, like this is going to be like it's such a fun concept, you know.
yeah,
Um, but I could talk in a minute about like what really fell off for me, but the it was really the last 2 months before the launch
yeah,
that really killed the vibe for me.
yeah,
So I mean that was frankly like in a nutshell was very disappointed in Forspoken. That could have been like easily in the top contenders of this year, but it
yeah. It
did
kind
not
of
hit
just
the mark for me.
came out and flopped. Yeah, I mean, I remember playing the demo and feeling like I didn't have a sense of what I was supposed to appreciate about the game, right? Like, I couldn't exactly wrap my head around.
Well, the demo had a lot of problems
Yeah, the demo
as a
had,
demo.
yeah, wasn't it like 100 gigabytes?
It was somewhere. Yeah, it was a hefty download size, and the the problem was with that demo was you get one main mission and then like a few encounters on the way,
Yeah,
and that's it. That's all the demo is. You don't get any story plot.
yeah.
So unfortunately,
There
what
is
I
a
want to get
secret
gripped on.
boss.
Oh, there a secret boss in there?
Is
I don't think
wait,
I encountered that.
isn't the like turtle looking thing kind of? No, it's not. That's the main mission. Never mind. Never mind. I lied.
Gotcha.
Don't listen to a thing I say.
I just remember like structurally, like I wish I had some story elements because that would have gripped me a little bit more.
Yeah.
Um, visually it hit the mark. Like that one was the thing that would grip me the most was the visuals.
Yeah.
Combat wise, felt pretty meh on my on my end. There was a lot of like you get access to like two different magics, and they kind of perform the same way.
Yeah.
So
Felt like
that
different
was kind of
flavors rather than
that was a big red flag to me a little bit. Um,
sure.
you know, making it a little bit repetitive. Another thing that really, and this one was the one that got me the most. This is what was the biggest sin I
Yeah.
think of the demo, is that it doesn't tell you anything in terms of any kind of core control mechanics. Like
Yeah.
it tells you how to move, it tells you how to move and fight. It does not tell you how to climb, how to
Yeah.
um
How to dash.
yeah, how to dash. They just throw you right in.
Which
And well, yes,
yeah.
that works if you didn't have an entirely open world in this demo. And for me, guess who got stuck for an hour because I fell down the mountain and I didn't know how to get myself back up,
Yeah.
type of situation. Like, and it came down to a simple button to like
Yeah, that's always frustrating.
to warp essentially. Like that was tough.
Yeah. Well,
And
and to me, I felt like the biggest sin was like I have when I was watching the trailers, I was always sort of struck by how clean the movement looked and how and how fun it seemed to just kind of run around the world, and then to play the demo and not get that and get a really like uh base version of it almost felt really weird.
yeah, yeah,
And yeah, like I definitely was like, okay, when I played the combat, I was like, oh yeah, there's potential here. I could see this getting cool. Um, but yeah, I felt similarly like I wasn't into like the vibe of the game. There's something off about it. And then like yeah, the vibe for sure was not really there. Uh, it resulted. I'm pretty sure Luminous Studio is not a thing anymore, which is
right.
a shame because I mean, at least graphically speaking, those devs really know what they're doing. And
Oh yeah, absolutely.
like, I mean, Forspoken looks better than FF15, and FF15 looked incredible at the time.
Yeah, I think it still kind of looks incredible to this day. There's
Oh,
some stuff that's
absolutely.
aged on it, but like,
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah, for sure. But I think, yeah, I think it's one of those things where that team really got dealt a couple of bad hands. Um, and it's a shame, but sometimes that's kind of just what happens. Um,
mm,
so yeah, I think I hope that that talent was shuffled around into other teams within Square, um, so they can continue to sort of utilize that excellence. Um, but yeah, definitely not a great look, especially given how like astronomical the expectations were for that game, right? Like they
mm.
Square set them pretty high and they didn't meet them. So
Yeah. I mean, this was shown like this game was initially revealed um, with the PlayStation 5 showcase, like the
yep.
initial PlayStation 5 showcase. They chose that over any other IP.
Well,
Like
FF16 was there.
FF's, no, not that one. That was the next showcase.
No, FF16 was at the PS5
Were
reveal.
they?
I'm pretty sure. I'm looking it up.
I mean, you could be right, but I thought the initial PlayStation showcase, like the first one, not the one in September. I thought FF16 was revealed in September,
Oh.
unless I'm thinking of the year after.
Um.
Because if so, Square could have easily revealed FF16 over Forspoken.
Yeah. Okay. It was a. It was a. It was okay. Yeah. It was in September. You're right. I was
Okay.
wrong. Yeah. I think. Yeah. That's right. There was the. Yeah. There was the PS5 reveal trailer with like Miles Morales and stuff. Um.
Yeah.
And then yeah, I got my timeline mixed up. But yeah, yeah, I think
Because
you're
I think
right.
everybody thought it was FF16 for a minute.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure. But yeah, I think for spoken, like the last thing I kind of want to say about it is like I probably would have played it if not for all of the negative press surrounding it. Um and that's a shame cuz
Mm-hmm.
I I was really looking forward to it and then I really wasn't like super into the demo and it's kind of a story about like yeah we're I don't want to be a hater but at the same time like I don't want to give my time to something that I'm not gonna enjoy, um especially not something like that that's gonna take a while, right? Like that game
Yeah.
is an investment, so yeah.
Um. Yeah. So that's all I have to say about it too. Like
Okay.
that matches all like my opinions on it.
Yeah, it's definitely a
Not really
shame.
much to say other than that one was a disappointment.
Yeah, for sure.
I'll
Moving
play it
on.
eventually. But
Hopefully, maybe at some point. Moving on, Hi-Fi Rush, which I loved. I
mm-hmm.
played that not when it first came out. I played it a little while after. Um, but man, like it's hard to
Oh, it
describe how great of a game that is. Um, just because like it's so unique and it's one of those things that like while I was playing it I got the sense like this is something only a video game can provide me. Like this is the kind of thing I can't get literally anywhere else. And for that idea to be so well executed and for I mean for it to not just be a rhythm action game, but for it to be a rhythm action game uh where like the vision feels so like thoroughly complete. Like um to me what I kind of hope is like if there's a Hi-Fi Rush 2, I hope they do a completely different set of characters because
mm-hmm.
it wouldn't make a lot of sense to like try to get more out of it. And yeah, it's just it's so well put together and like the soundtrack feels beat for beat perfect, literally. Um, and yeah, I mean, I have some criticisms only in the sense of like some of the ways that like skills were implemented was a little weird and uh, and there wasn't a lot of options to mess with things so that like Bluetooth headphone users could have a little bit of an easier time with the sync. Um, but other than that, like, what an experience! What a fantastic thing! Such a surprise too. Like nobody knew it was coming out until it literally dropped the day it got revealed. So yeah, definitely one of those games that's like any other year it could have been game of the year, right? Like this is
Mm-hmm.
definitely somebody's game of the year. Um, so yeah, I know you haven't played it, Caleb, but did you have anything else you wanted to say about it?
Well, Hi-Fi Rush was definitely the surprise of the year. No one saw that coming at all,
Yeah, for sure.
and therefore, I mean, it came out at a time in a similar situation with Fire Emblem Engage. You know, like definitely could have played it during that time. I was interested in it. Um, the other thing is I don't have an Xbox, but this one was definitely I was very intrigued by it, and I know I was recommended by several, several people to play it. Never got around to it, but you know, if I get 10 out of 10s from everybody around me, I know it's a good game. So I'll just say
Yeah.
that, you know, I mean, this it's definitely one of those scenarios where it's I say this is the second one that got away, only being second being the fact that I just don't have an Xbox. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? Like Engage, I had no excuse for other than I was just busy. You know what I mean? This one will be like if I do get an Xbox, this is something that I will definitely give it a try out. I mean, if I had a PC too, this would help, but I don't right now at the moment. But you know, one of these days I'm going to try out Game Pass on PC, and I think I'll definitely give it a whirl. So
Yeah.
whichever comes first, I'll definitely be interested in a Hi-Fi Rush. But
Yeah, for sure.
that's really all I got to say much on Hi-Fi.
Well, and the nice thing too is Hi-Fi Rush is definitely not the longest game in existence, right?
No,
It's like a 15-hour commitment, and so that makes it like a perfect Game Pass game too. So
absolutely.
yeah, next on the list, neither of us played this, but I figured it was worth mentioning. Metroid Prime Remastered, uh, Shadow Drop. There was
Hmm.
another Shadow dropped.
Yeah, it was
Uh,
February was the nobody like I.
yeah.
I will admit, being at I worked for a gaming company, um, and I remember us kind of low key freaking out by all these shadow drops and catching us off guard,
Yeah.
um, and stuff. But it was a fun time during that time. I mean, I really wanted to try Metroid Prime Remastered, but that one was less so on the list compared to like Hi-Fi and Fire Emblem, Fire Emblem Engage.
Yeah.
But I definitely, I was like, there you go, Metroid fans. You're you're fed a little bit. You still don't have Metroid Prime 4, but at least you can have a little bit.
Yeah, I get you.
you know, but yeah, I'll never forget the pandemonium of just everyone trying to get a copy of that game, and that
Yeah.
was, well,
Yeah.
let's just say that was something.
Yeah. But yeah, good on Nintendo for putting out a what seems to be a really solid remaster of that game. Hopefully that means more Metroid in the future. And yeah, uh, I don't remember. I don't think you've played this next one, Caleb. But correct me if I'm
No,
wrong. I haven't.
I
Hogwarts
have it.
Legacy. Oh, I don't. I don't own that game. Never.
Yeah, I mean it was a gift, I should say,
Ah, I get you.
and to my to my mom. So she has the game, and I have access to it whenever I want,
Yeah,
but I haven't played it
I get you.
yet.
Yeah.
I would have
Um,
played this game at launch though, if it wasn't for it being a gift.
sure. And yeah, I mean, there much has been said about this game and all of this stuff surrounding J.K. Rowling, and we don't need to get into it.
Mm-hmm.
I will say, I have played I think the first hour of Hogwarts
Mm-hmm.
Legacy. I played it at a gaming cafe in a little bit away from my house,
Mm-hmm.
and I felt a little bit man, I'm just not sure. I just wasn't really sure about the combination of Harry Potter and Arkham combat. That seemed like a really weird mesh.
Oh, it absolutely was a weird combo. Like,
And yeah, I don't know. And the other thing too was I was playing the narrative and I was like, uh, uh, this world is only interesting the first time you visit it. And the reason anybody stuck around was because they were interested to keep learning more about the world, because it's not like the world was super fleshed out in um, Sorcerer's Stone.
mm-hmm.
And to me, it's like, okay, I get wanting to, play a video game where you get to explore everything, right?
Mm-hmm.
But at the same time, it felt a little bit like I just don't know what the draw is here, because it's not Harry, right?
Right.
It's not that story. So, yeah.
I'll say this about the game, like, because I've only played a few minutes, not from myself, like from my own playthrough or anything. Really just from my mom, like needing help at a certain part,
Yeah.
and her handing me the controller and kind of throwing me into the fire without me actually knowing the controls or anything.
Yeah.
But like, funny enough, like it's very much in that traditional like action RPG like combat,
Yeah.
and you know it works in some levels, but in some levels it's like the only reason why I'm able to play this right now is because I'm so used to God of War. Like just
Sure.
me being completely like blind, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
I was able to like figure things out as I was playing, but like you know that's what it was weird. It was very weird as far as the combination of those two, because it's like you said, I was very much along the lines of I feel like this is going to turn some people off at the
Yeah.
same time. Like it's not simple.
Yeah, it's not like just a good game or just a bad game, I think. And I think that's
Mm-hmm.
that's maybe what's most interesting about it is I think the thought experiment has the Arkhamification of every WB game run its course, right? It has every game following the same format since what, Arkham City, basically.
Right. It's a Ubisoft effect.
Yeah, it's the Ubisoft effect, and WB's output isn't as it's not as oppressive. Like
Yeah.
you're getting 3 Ubisoft open worlds a year. Like you get maybe one WB open world every 2 or 3 years. Um, but I do think it does because I remember when it came out, and if you waded through the controversies, you saw a lot of
Mm-hmm.
people who genuinely liked it and said hey, this
Mm-hmm.
is actually a decent game that it does a good job with the source material and all of that stuff. Um, and it's fun to just run around as a wizard in the wizarding world. And then on the other hand, you saw people who were like, I just don't like it. Even if people who would say like, yeah, even removing the controversy, it is kind of just bland. Um,
Yeah.
and just kind of a bland open world RPG. And just because it's set in the Harry Potter universe, that doesn't like alleviate most problems. The way that like a Star Wars project like that might be able to get away with something like that, just
Mm-hmm.
because it's like, okay, yeah, like Star Wars iconography really is really affecting for a lot of people. Um, so yeah, I mean, I think that's pretty much all uh, I had to say about Hogwarts. Honestly, I'll probably never do a whole playthrough of it just because
Mm-hmm.
I've kind of lost interest. Um, like the Harry Potter franchise has really, I mean, to me, it's like okay, we should have ended it back when the books ended. Um, so yeah. All right, moving on to Destiny 2 Lightfall. Um, I don't want to talk about this too long. Just to say, go listen to our previous episodes about uh, everything that's gone down over at Bungie. Um, and everything that's happened is probably in some way a direct result of that expansion and the reception that it received post launch. Because I know a lot of people walked away from Destiny 2 after Lightfall released. Um, and I think, to me, the biggest shame is that on a gameplay level,
Mm-hmm.
Lightfall is pretty good, actually. And I would even say that if this weren't billed as like the penultimate, the Infinity War to the Final Shapes endgame, right? Like that
Mm-hmm.
I mean that was very much the positioning of these two expansions. If it wasn't
Oh yeah.
positioned as that and was more framed as um like a one-off, like we're doing something
Mm-hmm.
experimental with the IP, and if it had come out like 2 or 3 years ago, it would have been heralded as one of the best expansions ever released for Destiny. Um, and so I
Yeah.
think the oh sorry, excuse me. Yeah, I think it is really just a matter of like I don't like that they released that expansion the way they did, and then uh, and then laid off a bunch of people. And I haven't gone back to
Yeah.
Destiny in quite a while, and that's kind of a shame because I was really invested in it. But nowadays, I kind of feel really ambivalent. Um, so yeah, I don't know if there's anything else you
Yeah.
wanted to say.
Well, I'll just kind of say I know Like it was pretty big
Yeah,
of
I think it was
a
like the
DLC.
most sold Destiny expansion, actually.
It probably was because I know they were concluding a lot of things.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? It's like you said, it was being marketed towards like that Infinity War type endgame like level of culmination. And I just remember it being pretty big and yeah, the wait for the next expansion, I can definitely understand. I haven't played Destiny in years, but I can understand the frustrations on so many levels with Destiny. And we've talked about this before in the podcast, so I won't go too much into it other than yeah, I remember this coming out and I remember, you know, the the success it had at the same time.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah, it's
yeah,
a
that's all
weird
my
like
thoughts.
dichotomy. I think we could kind of talk about these next two kind of at the same time.
Mm-hmm.
Long Final Dynasty and RE4 Remake are both games neither of us have played. Uh,
Nope.
RE4 Remake at the top of a lot of people's Game of the Year lists. Long, I think, is more in that like the tradition of like Neo in that sort of. Uh, I think it's that like Team Ninja, Dark Souls esque kind of thing.
Yeah,
So
but I remember this getting quite the controversial reviews, so to
that's
speak.
right. Yeah.
Um, a lot of people were complaining it was too hard. Um,
Yeah. Which
you
is
know,
always funny for like a Souls like, right? Like
and
that's
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 what
kind of the point.
and that was the thing. It was kind of like, don't you know what you're getting into, kind of thing.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like, that I think that's actually like the thing that stood out most to me, like about that game was not the game itself, but just like the reviews on that game was kind of like a little wild to me. But that's kind of just my thoughts on it. I don't have much on along.
Yeah. Yeah. And RE4 remake again like uh Capcom continues to roll out success
Yeah.
after success for uh what is now their flagship franchise. I mean, I think it used to be kind of unclear. Like, are they the Street Fighter company? Are they the Mega
Mm,
Man company? You have your Resident Evil over here. Are you the Monster Hunter company? But I think
yeah.
nowadays it's pretty clear. Like, yes, Monster Hunter is their big moneymaker, but RE is
Mm.
their
I think it's the
flagship.
most consistent.
Yeah, well, and it's the one that gets the most releases year over year
Yeah.
because I think it's kind of on maybe not the most, but it's on kind of a rotating cycle with Monster Hunter, where it's like they release a new Resident Evil game, and then the year after that they release, or the next time Capcom releases a game, it's Monster Hunter, and then maybe the next numbered title would be remade or whatever it is. So yeah, I think just Capcom kind of just needs to keep doing what they're doing if they want to
Yeah.
succeed. There's not really much else to say about it. Um, yeah. So moving on again to
I'm not quite
Honkai.
sure which one this one is.
This one is Honkai Star
Oh,
Rail.
gotcha.
Um,
Okay.
and
I was trying to
you're trying to
read
try
the
to figure it out
abbreviation.
from the abbreviation. Yeah. I was writing this out and I was like, I know what this means. And yeah, I mean, I have played a lot of it. It has one of my favorite like if I had like a ranking of individual moments, um, the end of the first world in that game, which there are 3 worlds. The end of, I guess this it's technically the second world. There are sort of 3 areas, I guess you could call it. The end of the second area's storyline is one of my top moments of the year. And you could go watch my Honkai video about that. But yeah, I think it's been a really consistent year for this game. It's been a really good year for this game. I mean, I haven't with any live service game, there's always an element of like making sure that you don't burn out on it. But I think the features like auto battle, so you can sort of set things to farm and go watch a video or something, like that's really nice. I'm always a sucker for like turn-based combat, so there are a lot of like different combinations and things that you can do, and that's fun. So yeah, I mean, I'm looking forward to continuing to play it. They've got their 4th area coming out next year. And then one more update before that, but yeah. Caleb, I'll leave this one up to you because you're the only one who's played it between us.
Yeah. Jedi Survivor. This one I won't touch too much onto it, but very like on the levels of Forspoken for me, levels of disappointment.
Whoa.
And there's a lot of reasons for it, and I've gone on and on about this over the podcast, but it's got to go down to the performance of the game. Like it's rough, it's hard to play.
Yeah.
And I'm not meaning difficulty wise, I'm meaning performance wise. When it does want to work really well, it's still got its own issues. The story itself was good. There's a lot of good moments in the story, but it's also pretty lackluster.
Yeah.
I would say compared to what the first one was. Like the first one had such deep stakes that I think they lost something on the way. Now, granted, there is one moment in this game that I will never forget, and it was really fun and challenging. That's all I'll give it credit for. I won't go into the point in which I won't go into any spoiler, but like if you played that game, you pretty much know where I'm going, what I'm talking about. Let's just say it's hard.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, that was fun. So that part was fun. The rest, I was very disappointed with this title. And honestly, probably could have used 3 more months of development.
I believe it.
At least.
Given the state it released, and I can definitely see that.
Well, it still isn't. I mean, last I played was in September, and a lot of issues that I had was not fixed. So
sounds about right.
Very frustrated.
Yeah, I was really looking forward to Jedi too.
And a lot of people liked it, so I'm in the
that's true. I'm
in the minority on that one.
Yeah,
but I feel pretty strong on my opinion on that.
All right. Yeah. Moving on. Did you have anything else you wanted to say?
Nope.
Okay. Yeah. Another maybe negative note. Redfall.
Yep.
that was a thing that released. And yeah, we don't need to talk about it.
Well, I called it several years ago. I'll say that.
That's true.
When
Yeah,
they when the title got initially announced, I'm like, this is going to be a forgettable title.
and yeah, I hope nobody
And
remembers it.
that was blasphemy from a Bethesda studio.
Yeah.
A lot
Yeah.
of people thought, no, no.
It's arcane. Like, come on, dude. But
Yep.
sometimes game devs are forced to make the wrong game. It's just a fact.
Mm-hmm.
All right.
Okay.
Moving on. I will not. I will not speak too much on this because I think we'll be talking about it a little later. But Tears of the Kingdom. I mean, I played it. What a fantastic game! I've sung its praises as many times as I can, and will continue to. I think people really get in their feelings about open world Zelda when they really are just kind of doing themselves a disservice. But that's neither here nor there. I think the way in which it expanded on Breath of the Wild's core systems while also improving everything that was maybe not the what's the like it improved on everything that Breath of the Wild left to improve. I guess is
Mm-hmm.
the because I would still say that like Breath of the Wild is pretty close to a perfect game. I don't think it's I don't think any game is perfect. So there's
Yeah.
that, um, but I think Breath of the Wild kind of gets there, and so Tears of the Kingdom like going above and beyond that standard that was set.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, is a real triumph for the Zelda team, and I hope it sounds like they're moving on from this world, and maybe maybe we'll see
Which,
some different stuff, and maybe
yeah,
and I
which I
really
think is a
hope.
good thing.
Yeah. I mean, I would definitely never want them to milk this one incarnation of Hyrule.
Yeah,
I would be
exactly.
I would be super down for a. I would be super down for continuing on with this link, but we go to Termina,
Mm-hmm.
where Majora's Mask takes place. That would be
Gotcha.
rad. I could see that being a possibility. I mean, there are so many things they could do. It's
Mm-hmm.
not like Hyrule and Termina are the only two locales in the Zelda franchise.
Yeah.
So whatever they choose to do next, I hope it's fantastic. And yeah, I think it's one of those games that really like reveals what is possible within a video game, because I think a lot of games, they're big and they're ambitious, but like within that they don't really do a lot of like new stuff, or they're Horizon Zero Dawn, which I've tried to play several times, is a really good example of a game that like is super polished and super solid, but doesn't feel very new, right? It doesn't feel
Mm-hmm.
very like interesting. It's just kind of an open world game. Um, and Breath of the Wild, I think it's possible to say that that is the case with that game, but Tears of the Kingdom, I have a really hard time saying that, just because it's like it's hard to get creativity, um like the kinds of tools that you only find in like a Minecraft in a game as like polished and fantastic from a content perspective as a Zelda game. Like those two don't usually mesh, and so for the sandbox to be as incredible as it was, um, yeah, yeah. Again, I'll say more later, but
Yeah,
that's kind of the long and that's kind of my base opinion on Tears of the Kingdom. Yeah. Did you want to? I know you haven't played through it, but did you want to say anything about it?
yeah. Well, Tears of the Kingdom is a game that I'm eventually going to get to. There's no denying that. I started it, kind of got distracted on a few other games.
Yeah.
um, but I'm gonna get into it when I fully like commit to that game. I don't see myself like getting away from it. You know what I'm saying? Like
Yeah.
I played initially like an hour and a half to 2 hours of the game. Like I didn't really get too far into it to where like I wasn't in a point of no return type situation. Like it was like, yeah, I'm still kind of learning some stuff. Like I'm
Yeah.
still kind of getting my feel for it, and you know the I'm intrigued by the game. I've always been intrigued by it. I want to get into it. But yeah, as far as right now goes, got a couple of other things to beat
Yeah.
before I get to that one. But
Yeah, for
yeah, a
sure.
little backlogged right now, but not nearly as bad as last year.
That's
I
good.
think last year was in a far worse situation. Um, so yeah, I mean, we've talked about next year possibly being a backlog year, and this could be one
Yeah.
of those games that
For
I
for you
tackle.
especially, I think there are a few that like I might come to you and be like, "Hey, you got to play this." But other than that, like for you there's not a lot on the horizon. Not
And
especially
honestly,
not
that's
past
okay.
Final Fantasy. um,
Right. No, March I'm booked, but other than that,
yeah.
you know what I'm
Yeah.
saying. You know the and I'll spend a lot of time on it, but I won't like be too long with it. You know,
Yeah.
with Rebirth. So honestly, it's not so bad. Um, I usually prefer to have little breaths of fresh air in between things. Um, and I really say since the beginning of I'm at the end of 2022 to present, I haven't had so much breaths of fresh air to
Yeah.
do kind of the stuff that like is casual.
Yeah.
Um, so yeah, next year might be the backlog year, which I'll
Nice.
take.
Hey, yeah.
I haven't had one of those in a while. So
Yeah.
really 2020 was that year, but that
that was
whole other
different
set of
circumstances.
circumstances. Yeah.
um all right, so moving on, just to say a little bit about Street Fighter 6. I mean, it's great to see a fighting game franchise come back in such a strong way.
Hmm.
Um, because 5, I've played a fair bit of 5 actually, and I enjoyed it for what it was, but it always left a bad taste in my mouth. It never felt like the basis of that game was good enough to, like, it never felt like anything about it really redeemed it after its disaster of an initial launch. Um, so yeah, I mean it's great to see it sort of come back so strong. Um, and yeah, I mean I hope that game continues to be as successful as could possibly be. Um, All right, so moving on to our next game, uh, Caleb. I mean, I think for both of us, this was definitely for a time. Uh, this is definitely
Hmm.
one of our favorites.
Oh,
And I
absolutely.
mean, I think for me, it's definitely fallen out of that like top five spectrum just because some other stuff came out that kind of overtook it. But it's still, but for you, I mean, yeah, what do you think about Final Fantasy
Well,
16?
Final Fantasy 16. What's not? What's there not to say good about this game? Because like I think I said that right. Oh, who knows? It's good. Let's just put it
Yeah,
that way.
it's a good game.
It's really good. Um, really like I think I was really lost in this world for quite a while. Um, couple months actually. I took my time with this game. This game
Yeah,
was um like I spent hours upon hours um just being in this world. Like I wasn't even like some days I just would decide, we're not going to do anything main story wise today. It's one of those type of open world games where I really got lost in, and it was really fun, and you know, yeah, I got nothing but great things to say about Final Fantasy 16. It was almost my game of the year until another game came out. Um, very convinced that this was if this came out without that other one, this one would have been my game of the year. Otherwise, and yeah, I mean, I have some things to say about the DLC, but like, I'll talk about that more later when I finish it. I've in the DLC right now. I'm playing it right now. The I do have some opinions on it though, and um, I wouldn't say it's anything bad or anything, but it is something that you know I would like to count out, if that makes
sure.
sense, from the initial
Yeah,
game, because the initial game was very complete for me. Like I spent
yeah,
easily 70 hours into this game, so the I spent a long time, and there were days where I'm like, okay, I'm gonna finish it, and then that wouldn't work out, and then more stuff got opened up, and I'm like, well, another 2 weeks is fine for me. You know what I'm saying?
yeah. Well, and
Like
I
it was.
remember being. I mean, part of this is I have uh, at the time I was kind of between jobs and I wasn't
Mhm.
really. I had a lot of free time, and I still have a lot of free time. But part of it is that the other thing is like between the two of us, I definitely play games faster. Like
Yeah.
I'm, I think I've told you this before. Like I think I beat Final Fantasy VII Remake in like 30 hours when everybody else
Mhm.
said like 35 to 40 hours. So
Well, I would have absolutely beaten a remake if it wasn't for college. I guess that's the best way to put it.
sure,
Because
yeah,
like I spent easily 3 days. I took probably 3 days off just to play it, and I
yeah,
got severely behind on stuff. But I mean, I could have gone another 2 more days and probably would have beat the game. You know what I'm saying?
yeah. Well,
But
and yeah, I
I had to
mean
give it a break for about 2 weeks
that's oh yeah, I remember that.
to
But
catch
yeah,
up. Yeah.
yeah, and I remember yeah, I mean talk about some incredible highs. I mean, I think this is kind of the thing that's always stuck out to me about Final Fantasy 16 specifically is like there are a lot of moments in that game where I felt like I was going to fall asleep. Like I didn't care about the some of these side characters. I didn't enjoy
Yeah.
wandering around the world very much. Like there were so many points in that game where I just felt completely
Fair enough.
detached,
I mean,
I
I
guess.
definitely did more so towards the end, like found myself, okay,
Yeah.
we're in a repetitive nature. I'm starting to find myself dozing off a little bit. Easily one time I think I did actually fall. Um, and and my character was just standing there for an hour before I
Yeah.
realized. But uh, you know, I think that those moments out are like there's so much good side missions that it outweighs the more
Sure.
repetitive and boring ones for me.
I think for
Um,
me it's not even just about the side missions. It's like even some of the moments in the main story where you're like in like the big areas uh
mhm,
are like those felt like real slogs to get through at
yeah,
times. Um
fair enough.
and so but then like an hour later I would be fighting Bahamut, and it would be like
Hmm.
the greatest thing I had seen all year was.
Hmm.
I mean, I think that again, if you want to talk about individual moments, like the Bahamut fight in Final Fantasy 16 is like is on another level of
Yeah.
boss fight. Like that is one of the most incredible bosses in all of video games. So it definitely was like I felt at times like I was playing two different games. I was playing the like okay, this is the team that made this is the kind of thing I can expect from people who are more seasoned in the MMO thing uh like I could have seen that, and then like a few minutes later I'd be like, this is the most like brilliant cinematic experience in a video game I've ever seen. So yeah, definitely for me it was like, okay, it's sort of a almost two-faced in that way where it's like there's sort of two sides. Yeah. Yeah, for sure. Um do you have anything else you wanted to say about Final Fantasy 16?
Um, Not at the moment.
All
More to
right.
come though.
More to come. Um All right, this is another one that I will be talking about a little later. And I probably really won't speak on it too much at this juncture. The Legend of Heroes Trails into Reverie. If you don't know, the Legend of Heroes Trails series this um, is this huge. Reverie is the 10th game in the franchise. If you don't include one that it's like kind of unclear whether or not it's actually part of it. And it is all one story, one continuous narrative that has been told since 2004. Um, and Reverie is the latest one to come to the West. There are two more that haven't made their way yet west yet.
Hmm.
But yeah, I mean, I did a huge I binged all 9 Trails games ahead of this release, and uh there some are better than others, and I definitely have um my criticisms, but at the same time I definitely felt a uh a really strong attachment to the franchise going in, and I felt really another one of those games because it's definitely like uh, to me it is like uh, it took some of the things that maybe I like there were things in previous games like creative decisions that previous games had made that I didn't like necessarily agree with, or just it didn't even like make an impression on me that they brought into Trails into Reverie as like an important story element and like elaborated on them in genuinely interesting ways. And yeah, yeah, again, I'll talk about it a little bit more later, but yeah, definitely on that list. All right, Pikmin 4. Neither of us have played it. Uh, I know lots of people loved it. It's good to have Pikmin back. Um,
Yeah, I mean,
yeah,
that was a surprise, but like not so much that I think was massive. I mean, that's kind
sure.
of like how Pikmin is.
Yeah, I mean,
You
people
know what I'm
love
saying?
Pikmin, but I don't know. I think it to me, it's what Pikmin represents is like Miyamoto keeps making Pikmin games because that's the one that he still has control over, I think. Um,
Mm.
and not that he doesn't have a voice or something in the other franchises, but just that like that is his baby. So I think if you want like Miyamoto's vision in a video game, it's definitely Pikmin. Um, and yeah, I think that really appeals to a lot of people. So, um, moving on to the big contender, um, another one for both of
Yeah.
our backlogs, Baldur's Gate 3.
Yep.
Um,
I mean, this is the surprise of the year,
yeah, for
without a
sure.
doubt.
It definitely it was not expected how much this game was going to take off.
Yeah. We slept on it. We
Yeah,
slept on it.
definitely.
It was never a conversation until its launch.
Yep,
I don't think.
yep,
I
for
think
sure.
we talked about it a couple times, when it would show up at the Game Awards or like Summer Game Fest. And I think you and I both agreed that at that point it was like, let's move on to something else.
Yeah.
like
Well, and
I think distinctly.
I
Well,
was
go ahead.
definitely kind of feeling like I'm not sure what the buzz is about. Like I knew Baldur's Gate
Yeah.
as a game, as an IP, but I wasn't sure
Right.
like what was so like anticipated about this one. Um, but obviously we were both wrong. Um,
Yeah, I'd
and
say big time. You know,
yeah, I mean,
but
what a victory for Larian. Um, and what a victory for the industry, I think. Because I think a
mhm.
lot of people, I think there will be, hopefully, there will be a sea change in the way games are greenlit as a result of just the massive success of Baldur's Gate 3.
Mhm.
Um, and yeah, I think that's kind of all we can say on it without having played it ourselves. Um,
Yeah, I mean, this is, well, other than, I will say one thing. This is a game that I do want to make a priority, at least to try. You know what I mean? Try an hour of. Hopefully,
yeah,
there's some form of demo that I can play.
I
And
don't think so,
that's what I
but
would kind of give it.
yeah,
What was that?
there's not really a demo,
Ah, darn.
but
So therein lies the question.
uh, yeah,
Maybe I'll have to look at gameplay and try to see. Maybe
sure,
I'll like look at the opening of the game and kind of
yeah,
you know make a
make a call.
judgment call. But I will say even like last year I mean not last year, like a couple weeks ago, I'm like, the only thing that would get me in like fully interested in Baldur's Gate 3 is if it does win Game of the Year, and it did. So
Yeah.
I'm interested. This might be the one that I'm probably likely to play in 2024 at some point.
Nice.
Who knows what I'll think of it?
Yeah.
Usually with those type of games, though, like
Those games take a while,
I
man.
either love them or I am not interested.
Yeah.
You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying? Um,
That makes sense.
so yeah, we'll see. We'll see.
Um, I put Bomb Rush Cyberpunk on this list, and I don't really have anything to say about it because I didn't play it.
Neither do I.
I've heard good things.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I mean that's definitely a success. I think like knowing that Jet Set Radio is coming back, I'm glad. I'm glad we had other franchises kind of taking up the mantle in some way until Sega was ready to bring that franchise back. Um, Moving on, another game we haven't played. This is going to be kind of we're going to
This is
be
going to
kind
be
of
a section here.
kind of a section of games we haven't played. Armored Core 6, uh, you know, the game that only got on the map because FromSoft was developing it. Um,
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
and which is funny
And
because
Keely getting emotional by it.
yeah, which was such a strange. It's so strange to think about that. Like this is an established IP. Like yeah, it hadn't been around for a while after the last one, but yeah, it's and I've heard really good things about Armored Core. So I'm not gonna hate, um, but yeah, I think it's one of those things where it's just like man, I'm not super interested in that kind of game. Just like the mech fighting thing doesn't super appeal to me. Um, but I mean, it's good for the people who are into Armored Core because that franchise really hadn't
Mm-hmm.
been getting a lot of releases. So it's good for fans, right? It's good for fans to be able to kind of have that. Um, Uh, this one I've played a little bit of, Sea of Stars. Not a whole lot. Um, and it's people really love it,
Yeah,
and
I've heard that.
I I can see why. And I think there are some things to genuinely love. On the other hand, when I was playing it, I felt a little bit like um I felt like it was trying to capture lightning in a bottle again. And like specifically Chrono Trigger, right? Like the two games look so similar from like a mentality perspective and even an art design perspective. And Sea of Stars has the Chrono Trigger composer, I think. So like it's pretty clear that that was the inspiration. And to me,
Mm-hmm.
Chrono Trigger is such a singular event in gaming that like you can't really replicate that. So yeah, I kind of fell off with Sea of Stars. Yeah, so I mean I'm glad for the developer's success and I hope they continue to do bigger and better as time goes on, but this game it just didn't really grab me the way it grabbed a lot of people. So Yeah.
Fair enough.
Um.
I don't know much to say. I don't have much to say about Sea of Stars.
Yeah.
Um, I actually don't know much at all about the game.
That's fair. Yeah. It's definitely like an indie darling for sure. So. Um. Yeah, Caleb. Do you want to talk about Starfield a little bit, if you can?
Yeah, I mean, uh, okay. So yeah, I could talk a little bit of Starfield. I have not played this game. Definitely one of those like, okay, I'm very much along the side of I'm an Elder Scrolls fan. Not so much, I don't think, of other Bethesda IPs.
Yeah.
Um, which is interesting to say, because like I have tried Fallout. I can
Mhm.
understand why people love those games. Just something about Fallout does not hit the mark on the same level as
Yeah.
an Elder Scrolls game. Um, and so Starfield, you would think would grab me. Like it's essentially like a Destiny with the mechanics and the core of it being a Bethesda game, right?
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yep.
Like, and you would think it would grab my attention, but at the same time, I mean, of gameplay that I saw in it, I think I saw more Fallout than anything. And
Yeah.
granted, all their games are very similar from each other as far as like core mechanics go.
Yeah. It's more of a like art design and level
Right.
design consideration.
But like I said, this game I didn't have much interest in. Uh, one of these days I might play it, but it might be like, granted, I don't think it's definitely not on my top priority list, especially seeing how much mixed reviews got and kind of the
Yeah.
reviews that I was concerned about
Oh yeah.
end up being confirmed. That was my issues with the game. So, as far as like if you love that game, good for you and everything. I'm not interested so much. The I know my sister did play it, and she initially did not like the game, but as she played more and got to like the appreciate the game for what it was, she enjoyed it a lot more. I think
I can see that. Yeah.
I think she had a different idea of what the game was going to be at the same time.
That's fair.
So, and I think a lot of people had that.
Yeah, I think a
So,
lot of people felt like Starfield was gonna be this like evolution, but it
yeah.
ended up being another like avenue of the same format.
hmm
Um, yeah.
So, yeah, I don't have much to say about Starfield
Okay.
other than that.
Yeah. Definitely a notable release, but it definitely is kind of fallen off after release as well.
hmm
Um, moving on to Mortal Kombat 1. Not much to say here. Just another example of a fighting game kind of coming out swinging.
Yeah.
Um,
That one I think had some more controversial
yeah.
stuff
Well,
with its
especially with
with
the.
at least yeah, with the one console release.
Yeah, the one that's always
Um
problematic.
yeah. Um Not much to go on that, but if you
Yeah.
can port a decent Arkham game that's made like 12 years ago at this point. I think I'm exaggerating in that timeline, but I'm pretty close. Kind of weird that you can have not so great of a not so great of a port of a game that's within its launch timeline.
I'm just gonna.
I guess that's the best way to
I
say it.
gotta break the news to you, Caleb. The Arkham ports are not good.
Okay, fair enough. Um, let me think of
I
a
get,
different
I
game.
get, I get, I get what you're
I
saying.
was,
The Witcher
yeah,
3 is a good example of like,
The Witcher 3. There we go.
yeah, yeah. Yeah. Moving on. This I think was a lot of people's kind of sleeper hit of the year. Like a lot of people didn't. I think a lot of people would have called this like their dark horse, and that's
Hmm.
Lies of P. Um, and yeah, I mean I've talked about it pretty extensively already, um, and I've done 2 playthroughs of it now. Loved both of them, and yeah, just a fantastic Souls like. Hopefully, I mean, they have confirmed DLC and a sequel. They set up, and I think like I hope they continue with this world in an interesting way. Because the way they pulled off the Pinocchio thing was really cool.
Yeah.
So
Well, this is definitely a game that was always intriguing from the start, right?
yeah,
Um, I don't think it was something that was like overly massive of like people being like, "Oh, we have to play it." But I think it was
no,
always intriguing, and I think if you played that game, I think you were delivered a full course meal. I would
yeah,
say,
yeah, for sure.
I think you got what you came for, and you know, one of these days, I keep saying this, um, but this one is definitely a not quite on the backlog, but could get on the backlog
Yeah,
depending on how like future sales could be like, you know what I'm saying. If I find this thing on sale, I might be like, I'll pick it up.
it's
You
another,
know,
it's another, it's another Game Pass game. So
yeah, yeah. I mean, a lot of some of the stuff that we've talked about are Game Pass, and
yep.
you know, if I eventually get Game Pass, guess
Hey,
what?
yeah.
Yeah,
Um,
definitely on the radar.
yeah. Uh, Cyberpunk Phantom Liberty.
Hmm.
Neither of us have played Cyberpunk.
Hmm.
uh, but good to have that kind of redemption arc
Right.
for that game, and uh, hopefully the next thing that the team makes is uh, kind of a return to that quality bar. Um, uh, Caleb, you're the Assassin's Creed fan between us.
Hmm.
I don't remember you saying you've played Mirage, but
I have not.
what are your thoughts?
Well, I'll say this. As far as like my thoughts on Mirage, um, I don't know if it was like so massive of a hit. To be honest, I didn't really pay much attention to the reviews, but I know that Assassin's Creed's in a weird phase for me, right? Right?
Yeah,
There's the definitive like original set of games that were, in my opinion, absolutely fun. Like some of them were not great, but like they were still really fun. And they were like, if they weren't great, it was generic. You know what I'm saying? Like
yeah,
it wasn't like anything where I was like overly like, oh my god, this game is bad. But they switched it up at Origins. Like they switched everything about Assassin's Creed up. And I fell off on Assassin's Creed. Mirage was a return to form. Uh, so I almost wanted to pick it up, but there was just like at the same time, like there's other games that I'm more interested in now that like I was not like wanting. Mirage that highly on my list.
Sure, yeah.
Um, Considering I'm in that period of Assassin's Creed games where I'll pick them up and not play them. Uh, and I didn't do it with this title. I just didn't pick it up because I know I might not even play it because sometimes there was a point in which I kind of was just like, okay, I'm kind of done now. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Um, so it is a return to form. It looks promising. Uh, I would go to this game, to be perfectly honest with you, if they come out in the next title with something that's not where we've gone before.
Sure, I can see
Like,
that.
give us something more out of the box. Like, give us something that like is either somewhere. It doesn't have to be modern day, but like more modern history at the same time. Because I think we're
Yeah.
grasping at straws now a little bit.
Yeah.
With that with the time periods that they keep going back to. Um, I don't know. And then another thing is bring some meaning into the present day storyline. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like I know that wasn't like the biggest thing for a lot of people in the original games, but like at least there were stakes there. That's kind of my thoughts on that. So, I mean, will I play it? Probably not, unless Assassin's Creed turns around its pattern of events, I guess is the way that I would say it.
Yeah. Yeah, that makes sense. Um, all right, moving on to Lords of the Fallen, another one we haven't played, another
Mm-hmm.
Souls-like. It's kind of been, uh, you know, I think a lot of people would say that like Lies of P kind of came out from under Lords of the Fallen as the sweetheart, so to speak, like as the one that kind of won the day critically at least. So yeah, I mean, hopefully the Lords of the Fallen dev can improve on the fundamentals and yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Um, Sonic Superstars. So Caleb, I think you told me you've played at least a little bit of this.
No, I haven't.
Oh no, oh that was somebody else. Sorry. Um, but yeah, I mean, it sounds like the reception's been pretty positive
Yeah.
overall. It's been a good couple of years to be a Sonic fan, to be perfectly honest.
Yeah.
And yeah, I mean, I'm looking forward to eventually playing it. It mostly was just like that time was super busy from a game's perspective, so I was just kind of like, all right, I can put Sonic Superstars to the
Mm-hmm.
side. Um,
Well, that's the issue with that game, though. Like it was a
yeah,
great game, overshadowed by many other games, and you almost wonder if a delay would have been the best way to do it.
yeah,
I don't know. I mean, it's not necessarily that the game was not like ready to go, but I think you put yourself in a market that was too oversaturated. I wouldn't say oversaturated, but like it overshadowed it without a doubt.
yeah,
Whereas I think I feel like that game would be talked more about if it came out in like March or April, like somewhere around there that you know wouldn't have been so packed,
yeah,
so to speak.
yeah, for sure. Well, I think it. I don't think it was a situation of Sega sending it out to die. I think that just kind of
No, I didn't think so either.
happened. Um,
I think they had more faith in that game
yeah, then maybe
than
they should have, but
yeah.
it's okay. You know, Sega just had their big like blowout at the Game Awards, and that was um, and they have gone on the record and said like, yeah, it's because of Sonic's recent success that we were able uh, to do that. So, I'm not gonna be too mad. All right, moving on to all right. So, Caleb, I'm gonna let you take the reins on this one. Uh,
Oh,
even we both played it, but I think this one was more special to you maybe than it was to me, even if it was still special
absolutely.
to me.
Absolutely. I mean, it wasn't my most anticipated game of the year, but it was my second most anticipated. And it's
Yeah,
ironic that this became what I would consider my game of the year. Like it was there's not much to complain about this game. And
really.
I would say yeah, I wouldn't say there's much to like the pacing is perfect. Um there's one issue that I had with the pacing that they could have said I said it a couple podcasts ago, they could have saved it for post game. Um all around this was an amazing game, and you know I mean this took me like this one I think I binged
Yeah,
the most out of all of them. I got this one done pretty quickly. Um and that's even with me 100%ing it. Um and you know, I think the only critique that I would have is it should have had some more post game content. But not that the other one didn't have any post game content to it initially at launch, but yeah, I mean, no complaints on that one
yeah.
for me.
What a what a spectacular game for sure.
Yeah,
Um,
I would say it's almost the ultimate type of
it
game. I'm sorry.
is pretty amazing.
I said amazing. You said spectacular. So I just was
Yeah. Um,
go going along the.
I
Uh,
would even I would argue it is superior.
oh,
All right, we should stop. Um, and yeah, I mean, I would echo a lot of that. I think, yeah, I think the biggest problem this game has is that it's a sequel because the first Spider-Man was such a surprise, right, and such a like revelation of what was
mm,
possible. Um, but I think, but even beyond that, I would say like it is 99% an improvement on the first game. Um,
yeah,
so yeah, and I'm sure we'll discuss a little bit more later. Um, yeah, and at this point we have both played at least a little bit of Mario Wonder.
hmm
Because I played a little bit when I was staying with Caleb. Um, and yeah, I mean, I think for me, I I really liked what I played. I'm looking forward to playing it, uh, to giving it more of my time.
hmm
But I mean, it's a 2D Mario game and it's super creative, so
yeah,
I'm really not gonna complain. I don't think it would end up on my game of the year list just because
hmm
like it's not like so good as a 2D Mario game that it could get there, but I can see why it was on so many lists, right?
Yeah, I could see it too. Like I think the best thing that they did in a development wise, like the development team had the best idea of when they were going to make a new 2D Mario game. They decided that why don't we flip the script halfway through each level? Like
Yeah,
to always keep things different, to always keep things unexpected. Um,
hard
I think
agree.
that was very fun and refreshing. And I think that's what makes this game so high on people's list because of that. Um, because of honoring what came before, but also making a point of, you know, making a point of changing it up.
Yeah,
I guess this is the best way to put it.
yeah, definitely. Um, all right, moving on to yet another game neither of us have played. Actually, these next three are all games we haven't
Mm.
played. Alan Wake 2. Uh, we have a friend. I need to reach out to him to see if he would be willing to come on and talk about it. Um, because I would love to get his take
Opinion.
on
Yeah.
Alan Wake 2. But I mean, it was on so many people's Game of the Year list. I was sure it was going to win at the Game Awards at the end there. I was like, man, they're really. I was definitely feeling like, oh, they're doing a lot for this game. And yeah, but yeah, I think we would need somebody who actually has experienced it to give us the rundown. I'm gonna kind of group these two together: Super Mario RPG and Persona 5 Tactica. Uh,
Mm.
Persona 5 Tactica is kind of another, probably the last Persona 5 spinoff. I hope.
Probably.
I could be wrong. I mean, I wouldn't like turn my nose up at another Persona 5 spinoff, but at the same time, I kind of want them to just make a new Persona game.
I would agree with that.
Uh, and I haven't heard like super negative things about Tactica, but Super Mario RPG, I mean, it's definitely been a success, you know, as a remake for Nintendo, and it's good to see that like the Square Nintendo partnership can still happen. Um, so yeah, I mean, did you have anything else you wanted to say about either of those?
Um, Other than Super Mario RPG is one of those type of games that, yeah, I'm intrigued by it. Like I think it'll be like I'm more like along the lines of, yeah, this will be fun. It's
Yeah.
not something that I'm like overly like, you know, this is something that like needs to get played right away. But if it ever comes into my possession, I would absolutely love to play and take some time on because I mean, it's intriguing. It's a really cool remake, and yeah,
Yeah. Cool. Um,
that's that's about as much as I got to say with that one.
yeah. Sonic Dream Team
Mm-hmm.
was it wasn't a shadow drop. It was kind of a surprise just because like I wasn't expecting another game. Um,
Mm-hmm.
and I haven't played a lot of it, but what I have played is pretty solid. I'm probably going to wait until the eventual PC console port to play it. Um, just because like any Sonic game, I'm gonna feel more comfortable on controller. Um, and yeah, I just, you know, it's not like that important to me to play through this Sonic spinoff. So, but it's good. It plays decently enough. So, yeah.
Yeah.
Next on the list, Avatar: Frontiers of Pandora. Uh, it just I wanted to put this on here just because it's kind of surprising to me that this has gotten any positive press. Um,
I don't get it. I'll be
yeah,
honest. I
I
don't get it.
mean, again, I we can't say it without having played it, but it is kind of weird that Ubisoft put out a first person Far Cry Avatar game and people liked it. Um,
Well, I don't even get why they did first person.
yeah, that was the
Like,
weirdest part to me. It's like, why is it first person? Why isn't it third person? Like,
yeah,
you want to see the blue people.
yeah. that blew my mind. And visually, it doesn't look that good. I'm sorry to say it.
Yeah,
Like,
yeah, it's
there's some
definitely not
stuff that
impressive.
there's some stuff that looks that good, but it's like it only looks that good is because there was so much care put into the movies.
Yeah,
You know what I mean? With some
yeah,
designs, like it's not like I'm not seeing any unique design with the game, and yeah, this looks like one of those movie tie-ins that are not. That's just put
yeah.
out to make some money. You know what I mean? I guess this is
I
the
get you.
best way to put it. Like I didn't have any interest in playing that game, and still don't. I saw a
Yeah,
little bit of gameplay the other day, and it was like, yeah, this isn't for me.
yeah, I get you.
But
Um,
yeah,
all right, so the last game or the last full game on the list, at least,
uh,
the day before. I guess this doesn't really
yeah,
qualify as a full game, huh?
yeah. I'm like, that's a little bit of a stretch, but yeah,
Yeah. What a dumpster fire. Um,
yeah. It doesn't even exist anymore.
yeah, it's gone. I mean, it's
Yeah,
one of those things that's like it makes you glad that things are permanent on the internet, right? Like,
right.
um, because we will always have the documentation of the day before and
Yeah,
the fact that it happened. Um,
the fact that Gollum can get slip on by, Gollum in the King Kong
Indeed,
game can just slip on by as like just bad games of 2023 and not the worst game of 2023. And it goes to this game. That's so wild.
it is.
Uh,
It's just absolutely insane.
but let's be honest. We knew that it was not going to be good from the get go. It was a Last of Us clone that was not from a company or any high regards of a AAA like studio. Like it's like would I think people expected it to be bad. I don't think people expected it to be that bad. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, yeah, for
Um,
sure.
but I did find it funny. I felt bad for all the people that did buy it, especially after when they did like shut it down. They said we're done with this game. We're
Yeah,
letting it go. We'll give you refunds.
yeah,
Um,
absolutely insane.
I don't think I've ever seen that before. Um, I don't know. Have you ever seen that before with a game?
Um, I mean, it was a little crazier when Cyberpunk got delisted from PlayStation's
Yeah,
store.
but that was temporary. This is like a
That's true.
permanent thing.
Yeah, it is.
Because that's what I thought about too, but I was like, no.
It is pretty over. Um, yeah, I don't know. I think these are always funny stories.
Mm-hmm.
Because it's usually like, especially like since refunds got served, like the only people who really got harmed were anybody who like was in direct contact with the developers. So
Mm-hmm.
yeah, it's it's not great, but I will always look back on this fondly. It's just kind of a stupid thing.
No.
Um, all right, ending on a bit of a positive note, Caleb. I know
Yeah.
you haven't gotten a chance to
Nope.
play it, but I mean, it's super awesome that God of War got some DLC.
Oh, absolutely. And from what I'm hearing about it, it's making me super excited. Now, I've been playing the FF16 DLC. I think that was still the right choice. Like, even though, like, I'll go into it a little bit why my frustration is with not starting God of War right away. But I'm glad I'm doing Final Fantasy 16 first because I knew what kind of. Luckily, they were pretty transparent on both types of DLCs, what they were, um, to where I could make a pretty good judgment call of like, okay, this one I'm going to spend a little less time on than the other, and it's kind of like,
Yeah,
you know, at the end of the day, I'm like, which one's going to be more impactful to me, and I'm definitely saving the best for last. And that's no knock to Final Fantasy 16. It's just God of War is great, you
yeah,
know. And I'm looking forward to it. I've unfortunately been spoiled on one moment. Uh, it's frustrating because it's like it feels like I wasn't really given much of a chance to even play the game before I got spoiled on it. Like within like a day, I
yeah,
saw this, and I think that's my frustration. I mean, usually when it's like a game is coming out or like any kind of movie or something, I can filter it and I can mute this type of stuff. But when it's a shadow drop, I have no control over that. You
yep.
know what I'm saying? Um,
It is a problem.
and it's frustrating to see people not even giving that courtesy, you know, of hey, maybe we shouldn't be like posting this just yet. But it's the internet, so I'm like talking to a brick wall.
Yep, yep.
um,
Telling the
it'll never
internet,
change.
telling the internet not to do something just makes them do more of it. So,
Exactly. So
yep,
I'm looking forward to it. It's definitely on the horizon very soon. As soon as I get done with 16's DLC, that is next up on the list. And yeah, I'm looking forward to it. I'm looking forward to the challenge. That's what's really exciting for me too, is that this is going to challenge me, and it makes me kind of like, man, I wish I prepped weeks ago for this type of fight. Yeah, I mean, this is going to be
yep.
like remind level of challenge. So I'm looking forward to it.
Nice.
And yeah, I mean, this was definitely my surprise of the year. Like this was something that like did not see coming. I lost my mind over. Um, so yeah, this one was definitely a highlight of the year for me. I don't know
Nice.
if you have anything else to say
Nah, I mean, I
on that.
haven't played God of War, so I can't speak on it. Just happy for
I
people
get
who
you.
are getting it for free. Um,
Oh yeah.
all right, so we have kind of our final order of business for tonight
Mm-hmm.
is declaring our individual kind of I'm gonna say top 5
Okay.
games of the year. um I don't know if you have a list in your head right this minute. um if you don't, I can start us out. Um, but
Sorry, I'm just kind of looking over everything real
yeah,
quick. Like, are we including only stuff that's in 2023? It's
um,
okay if so. I'm just curious.
yes, I'm going to say so.
Okay.
Yeah,
Hmm.
yeah. So I have my list.
Yeah, if you want to go first.
Okay. So I at number 5, I'm gonna put um, I'm gonna put Trails into Reverie. Um, Again, just the way it felt like a culmination of everything up to that point felt really special. Um, uh, Number 3, number 4, sorry, I'm gonna give to Fire Emblem Engage. Just because, again, it was like I felt super respected as a Fire Emblem fan, and just like super appreciative that the way that they handled the celebratory aspects were so spot on. Um, Number 3, I'm gonna give to Lies of P, because I did not go in expecting to enjoy it as much as I did, and I did 2
Hmm.
playthroughs. um, so yeah, that's definitely a recommend from me. Number 2 is going to be Spider-Man 2. What an incredible game! What an
Hmm.
amazing story! Could not. I don't think I've seen. I've consumed a better version of Venom. Um,
Yep.
Even in the Venom movies, right?
Yep.
Um, I think yeah. There's so many good things to say about Spider-Man 2. And then my game of the year is Tears of the Kingdom. Uh, I think
Yep.
the biggest thing I can say is that I think there were some valid criticisms of the lack of like spectacle in Breath of the
Hmm.
Wild, and the lack of like and like I think a lot of Breath of the Wild lacked some of that like key Zelda personality, and Tears of the Kingdom really brings it back in a lot of ways. And so in that way, I felt very much like, oh, it's just everything I could have wanted and then some. Um, and it's one of those things where it's kind of weird. I've done like so many playthroughs of Breath of the Wild over the years, and
Hmm.
I haven't really gone back to Tears of the Kingdom to do another playthrough. Um, but I have to keep reminding myself that like my first playthrough was literally like 80 hours long. Like I played an absurd amount of Tears of the Kingdom and still have not I haven't finished
Hmm.
all of the shrines. So like
Hmm.
there is I mean that is a really just tense sorry, not tense, dense game.
Hmm.
So yeah, I am consistently just like floored by how amazing Tears of the Kingdom is, and just how uh and just like by the Zelda team's sheer brilliance. And I hope they continue to bring that into the next generation of Nintendo consoles. So yeah, that's my list.
Yeah.
Tears of the Kingdom, game of the year. Would not have it any other way. Yeah,
Um, I first off, I will say that's a really great list. And I echo some of the points you made with some of the games.
it what was
Yeah,
hard when I was looking at it, I was like, man, I'm leaving off Hi-Fi Rush, Honkai Star
yeah,
Rail. I'm leaving off what else? There's another one like FF16, right? Like
hmm
there's so many games
that's
released this
surprising to
year,
me.
right? Like
Yeah,
yeah, I think like yeah, there were so many that I could have listed as like that I could have gone in and said like yeah, these are honorable mentions, but I think yeah, it is just like a testament to how stacked this year really was. So
absolutely. I
yeah,
mean, I have not played as many 2023 games as I played games this year. I think this year I
sure,
did a mix of both 2022 and 2023.
yeah,
So it makes it a little difficult, just a little bit on my top five end. Um, the, I mean, I, I'll just say there are some games that I'll probably be like, hey, this probably would have been on my top five list if I had
sure,
played it.
yeah, that makes
Um,
sense to me.
but I will say right off the bat, there's going to be a couple games in here that you're going to be like, really? I chose that over over Jedi Survivor. Absolutely, Jedi Survivor does not deserve to be in the top five. Therefore, there's going to be two games that will trump that. So,
Fair enough.
first off, with number five, despite the fact that I played through the entirety of Jedi Survivor, there's a reason why I'm not putting it on this list, and it's because of my frustration with it. I was a glutton for punishment on that game, and I was hoping that it would turn around for me. Let's just put it that way.
Man,
That's why I played fully through. Um, but putting at number five, um, just despite Jedi Survivor, I'm putting Tears of the Kingdom on there.
ooh,
Um,
I like the play. I like the play.
um,
Even though you've only played like what less than an hour,
2 hours.
2 hours.
I would say
Okay,
close to 2 hours.
okay,
Because I did play
that's
an
right.
additional
Yeah, I think you
session
told
on
me
that.
about that. Yeah,
But the from what I've played, it's really fun. It's really intriguing. Combat wise, it seems solid. Like there's some stuff that like I could see myself really being intrigued by this world. Um, and it's definitely on that top list of me to play. But yeah, I mean, within those 2 hours, it's enough for me to be like, yeah, I'll play this. Um, and I know I'll really enjoy it. So it's
yeah,
in that caliber of it's got to be put on the top five. You know what I mean?
yeah.
The next one I was kind of in the same lines of Hogwarts Legacy. Sorry, same lines of Tears of the Kingdom. I'm going to say Hogwarts Legacy.
Okay.
That's what I meant to say. I mixed it up. Mostly because there was weird there was weird meshing of combat and everything, but of what I played, I mean, and then just seeing the dent and like you talked about Tears of the Kingdom being dense, like seeing how Hogwarts Legacy was really dense, and seeing how visually the game looked, like it was
Yeah,
definitely like one of those type of things of, oh, this is the Wizarding World type game. You know what I'm
yeah.
saying? This is
No, that
the
makes
game
sense.
that was like what any other type of Harry Potter game should have been in the first place.
Yeah,
You know what I'm saying? This is the game. And yeah, I mean, there's some weaknesses to it, but overall, I think Hogwarts Legacy, from what I've played, is enough to be definitely in that tier, at least in fourth. Um, and then three, absolutely without a doubt, Um, Now we're getting into the territory of games that I've actually played.
Ah,
um, 3 is definitely Mario Wonder.
all right.
Um, I'm almost done with that game. I think I'm about
Nice.
a little over 60%. I think 60 to 70. And it's challenging. It's fun. Um, there's some stuff that like I don't like some changes like compared to the previous 2D Mario game. Like I think it's weird that they got rid of collision. um, because they got I think that was one of the charms of the previous 2D Mario game of like oh using each other to like throw each other across the stage or you know what I mean like
Yeah.
a little bit of teamwork that the I think this game could have benefited more from. Like I think that's the one critique I would have of this game. Like it could have you could have done some fun things even within those twists of the game. But I mean,
Yeah.
so far I'm really liking it. Mario Wonder, it's definitely a surprise of the year for me. Um, and yeah, I mean that's what I would say with 3. 2, to no one's surprise, it's Final Fantasy 16. Yeah, this like I said, spent over 70 hours in. Like
Yeah.
it's it's incredible, and I don't have really much to say other than that. There's some flaws. We talked about those flaws earlier, but
Yeah.
for the most part, it's pretty good. And then lastly, my game of the year, I already said it earlier, it's Spider-Man 2.
Yep.
Spider-Man 2 definitely without a doubt like, you know, it's going to be one of the it's in the top contenders of the best PlayStation exclusives that have
Yeah.
been made. Like
Yeah, for sure.
it's it's not quite up there as I would say Ragnarok, God of War Ragnarok, but
Sure.
it of the output that Sony has done in the past 10 years, this is definitely on the top 4, top 3
Wow.
scale, I'd say. Um for Sony exclusives. Um I mean, this one wowed me. So,
Nice. Yeah.
you know, if I could if I could feel like Spider-Man, I think they hit the mark.
they got there, yeah.
Yeah. But
Oh.
yeah, I mean that's what
Yeah.
I have.
Hey. Yeah. Um all right. So, Caleb suggested this to me before the show, and I thought it was a good
Mhm.
segment. And I have another surprise category for us. These are both going to
Mhm.
be one game apiece.
Oh,
Uh, I think you kind of mentioned this, but what would you say was
mhm.
your favorite surprise from this
I
year?
think my favorite surprise was
It doesn't even have to be a full game. It could be like just a moment or something.
like my favorite surprise. Oh, that not even like a game.
What was like
Um
your maybe not favorite surprise, like your biggest surprise from a game, right? Like it could be the whole game, but it could also be like an individual moment from the game, right? Oh, there's my dogs. Gotta love them.
biggest surprise. I don't know. Why don't you go first?
Okay.
That okay?
Yeah. I think my biggest surprise was Lies of P. I think because Tears of the Kingdom, there was nothing really like surprising about it. It was just really good. Um,
Mm.
Lies of P, I think I kind of went in and I was like, I was definitely like, I want to like this, but I'm just not sure I will. And I was hooked.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, I just yeah, I love that game, and yeah, it was definitely like a major surprise for me for sure.
I think the surprise I would say for me would be like I haven't played it, but the surprise that would be for me. Um, God. Okay, I'm gonna cheat. I'm gonna say two,
Oh,
but
okay,
there's a reason why I say two. The real surprise I would say is Fire Emblem Engage. Like I
okay,
would say
yeah,
that
that makes sense.
that one was the one not on my radar. Previous titles didn't really interest me that much. This one did. And like watching the gameplay, like there was some magic to it, and I think that was the biggest surprise for me personally. That's
Yeah,
not like because like Final Fantasy 16 and Spider-Man 2 are games that are like full of surprises and like are
yeah,
like, but I knew that going in. You know what I'm saying? I
yeah,
knew
that
that
makes
I was
sense.
in for a treat. Um, this was not expected. So at least I would say that's my true surprise of the year. Now, this is kind of cheating, but the other surprise I would say is the God of War reveal.
I
Like,
mean, yeah, that's yeah,
that's huge enough. Doesn't count as a 2023 game, so that felt weird about saying it. So, but
sure,
with it being a DLC, so I just kind of said I'm a cheat with two things, but that one was definitely like the
yeah,
surprise that made me lose my mind
yeah.
over.
Oh yeah, I remember.
So,
That was a moment.
especially when I got to be the free DLC
Yeah,
because like, oh,
that was
crazy.
such a welcome surprise for sure. All right, last thing.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, so this category, again, we're going one game, and I'm gonna hold you
Mm-hmm.
to it this time.
Yep.
What is your favorite game that you? Uh, what is your favorite game that you played this year that did not come out this year?
Oh, this one's easy.
I'm
I've
gonna get
said it
I'm
like a
giving you your
thousand times.
I'm gonna give you your I'm just giving you your platform.
Yeah, this one was easily, without a doubt, God of War Ragnarok. Like
Yeah.
that was so special to me. Like I easily in my top three favorite games of all time. Um, yeah, yeah, like solidifying in the same level of Final Fantasy VII remake being my favorite game of all time, followed by Kingdom Hearts 3, then God of War Ragnarok. So you
Yeah.
could tell Ezra knows that caliber of like
Yeah, for
prestige,
sure.
you know, in up there. I mean, this game was perfect. Perfect, perfect, perfect. I had problems with the original reboot. Um
Okay.
I mean, it wasn't really a reboot, but like God of War 4, like there were some problems I had with it. It was not so solidified as Ragnarok. Ragnarok made that the previous game almost untouchable. Like
Wow.
the the amount of work they put into that game was just amazing, and I cannot wait until I get to the DLC.
Nice. Uh
What
for
about you, Ezra?
for my part, uh I'm going to come maybe a little bit out of left field. I don't not by much. I was not expecting Near Automata to emotionally destroy me again. I thought I was like because this was the first time I had replayed it where I was like watching all the cutscenes and doing and sort of
Oh,
playing at
okay.
my own pace and stuff. So I was like, and I've played a lot of that game over the years. I've played a lot of that
Hmm.
game, but this was like my first. Again, it was kind of my first replay of the game where I was like really sort of taking things as they come and letting it kind of do what it intended to do. And it still like really got to me in a way that I
Yeah.
really wasn't prepared for. So
No, it's a really great story.
yeah, it's a fantastic. It's my favorite game of all time for a reason.
Hmm.
And yeah, I think that like um yeah, and I think maybe next year uh we do a more formal like what games did we play, what games did we not play kind of thing.
Mm.
What games from the previous year did we do, all that sort of thing. So
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah, no, that'd be a good idea.
yeah. With that kind of brings us to the end.
Hmm.
Um, do you have anything you wanted to mention at all?
Uh, Not really, other than, everybody have a happy new year too.
Yep.
If we don't get another episode in. But, yeah. I'm looking forward to, our our next year and kind of
Yep.
seeing what things are going to be coming. Believe me, I am already ready to do some more trailer watch segments in January. Just to say,
Yes. The
just to
cloud
tease.
the clown makeup beckons once again.
And I'm also excited to just get some reviews out because like there's a
Yeah.
lot of stuff in the that we're both working on, and I think, by the time we reconvene, we'll at least have a decent portion ready to go. So
Yeah,
I
for
think
sure.
that's what I'm really excited about. I think we'll
Yeah.
have some really cool discussions.
I mean, you say
Um,
that, but Xenoblade 2 is like that game is long.
Fair enough.
like
I know. I don't disagree. It's like
I'm
what, over 100 hours?
uh I'm gonna look it up
Oh,
just to be accurate. Blade 2. Here we go. So Xenoblade Chronicles 2 on How Long to Beat is listed as 63 hours for the main story and then 106 hours for the main story plus doing extra
the
side
DLC.
content. No, 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 no.
Gotcha.
No, no.
Oh,
There
not the
the
DLC.
that the DLC is not included in that.
Oh, jeez.
The DLC is an extra 17 and a half hours for just the main story.
Wow.
So I am terrified because I've been doing
Fair
side
enough.
content this time around. Like I'm actually like digging deep on this
Gotcha.
game rather than Xenoblade 1. I kind of rushed the story. And this game I was like, all right, I'm gonna
Mm.
get into it, and I've been really enjoying it. But yeah, uh, I'm not sure I'll have more than Xenoblade 2 to talk about next time. We'll see. We'll see how quickly I
Yeah.
beat it between now
Well,
and then.
like in
But
fairness though, I'll probably have like talk. I'll probably have. I know I'll have FS. I'll know I'll have FF6 ready to go.
yeah,
God of War, maybe. I don't know. Depends on how difficult the game takes me on that journey.
yeah,
But I'll also be playing Replicant at the same time, so I'll
yeah.
be continuing my journey on that. And we'll be ready to go with our book club,
Our
so to
first
speak.
our first book club, and then yeah, we'll figure out what our next project is after that. So
Absolutely.
yeah,
Yeah.
well, with that, yeah, again, happy holidays, happy new year
Mhm.
to everybody. Hope it is a safe and happy one.
Yep.
Don't yell at your family too much for me.
Mhm.
Um, and yeah, with that, I'm sorry I
Yeah.
liked all of those games.
Mhm.
Bye.
Bye.